Have you ever really thought about how much money a pop group can pump into an entire country's economy? Today, we're going to look at P-pop kings SB19, but through a totally different lens, not just as performers, but as this massive economic force. So let's dig into how a band becomes a business powerhouse. And really, the big question we're exploring is a wild one. I mean, how in the world can a group of 5 artists turn into a legitimate engine for national economic growth? I know, it might sound like a bit of an exaggeration, right? But stick with me, because the numbers tell a completely different story. See, when you look past the stage lights, what seems like just a concert is actually so much more. It's a huge boost for tourism, it's a machine for creating new jobs, and believe it or not, it can even be a platform to influence national policy. Let's break down exactly how they pull it off. Okay, so to really understand SB19's impact, we've got to zoom out a bit and look at the bigger picture, this creative revolution that's happening in the Philippines. Get ready for this number. 2.12 trillion pesos. Yeah, you heard that right. That is the insane value of the Philippine creative economy back in 2022, according to the Philippine Statistics Authority. It's a huge number, and it is growing incredibly fast. So, what does creative economy actually mean? Well, it's basically the total value of everything from art and design to entertainment. And that recent 6.9% growth, with groups like SB19 right in the middle of it all, just proves that culture is very, very serious business. All right, now let's see this thing in action. We'll start with the most obvious part, the concert ripple effect. It's amazing how one single event can just send these waves of economic activity out in every direction. Their Wakas at Simula concert is the perfect example. I mean, look at the strategy here. The venue was just 15 minutes from the airport, making it super easy for thousands of international fans to fly in. And what did that do? It created this huge boom in what we call music tourism, filling up major hotels and even getting an official shout-out from Tourism Philippines for drawing crowds from all over the world. But here's the thing, their impact goes so much deeper than just one concert. This is where things get really interesting, because this is where we see them transform from artists into full-blown entrepreneurs. And this right here perfectly captures that shift. By taking complete control of their brand, they went from being artists for hire to creative entrepreneurs, running their very own business. And the most important part, they went from being employees to being employers. That's a game changer. Through their own company, Onesie Entertainment, they're not just managing themselves, they're building an entire ecosystem. It starts with their brand, of course, but then it becomes this business engine that creates jobs for hundreds of creatives. We're talking stylists, videographers, the whole 9 yards. And now they're even developing the next wave of talent with new groups. And this isn't just some side hustle. This is a serious economic contribution. They're a core piece of the brand Philippines' identity, and they are feeding into a sector of the economy that's worth over 670 billion pesos. Just let that sink in. Their influence doesn't stop with business either. Now they're leveraging their incredible brand power to push for actual change. Just take their single Visa. On the surface, it's an absolute banger of a song. But if you listen closely to the lyrics, you realize it is a powerful statement about the hurdles that Filipino talent faces on the world stage. And as their leader, Pablo, put it himself, the song was written to call out the invisible cages. All those systemic barriers that hold back not just musicians, but Filipino athletes too. They're using their voice to fight for better support for everyone. And of course, we absolutely have to talk about their massive digital footprint. Through platforms like Spotify and YouTube, every single time an international fan streams a song or buys a digital ticket to a concert, that's foreign money flowing directly into the local industry. Economists have a term for this, high-value service exports, and it's a super powerful way to grow and stabilize the entire creative sector. So after all that, what's the big takeaway here? What does the SB19 model tell us about the future of P-pop? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. This is all the proof we need that P-pop is an economic powerhouse. From the very real impact of filling up hotels and creating jobs to the more subtle but just as important work of fighting for artists' rights, this model clearly works. And that leaves us with one last big thought to chew on. When you add up all these ripple effects, it really makes you wonder, what is the true value, not just in money, but for a whole nation's identity, when its culture becomes its #1 export?